We are witnessing the birth of a new genre of artistic performance. The pandemic has forced musicians, actors, and creative people of every type to rethink how they deliver performances to audiences, whether it be online or in a limited space, and with what use of new technology. And to do all this without losing sight of the real mission, which is to make people feel better for a couple of hours and help them process whatever's going on in their lives. As my guest in this episode, Jason Slavick, likes to put it, artists are the first responders of the soul. As the artistic director of Liars and Believers Theater Company, Jason passionately believes that it's our calling to stand up in this moment of history and keep everything from going completely dark, both for artists and for the public. Jason and I talked about how he turned his company's production of original live shows that included live music, movement, mask, puppet, video, clown, and aerialists into a multi-sensory, visceral theater experience, including taste and smell that can be delivered in a live stream setting. Get ready to cancel your Netflix account and discover something completely new. Now, let's meet Jason. Jason, how are you?
Yeah, great. It's nice to talk to you.
Yeah, the listeners won't know, but we were having such a fantastic conversation. I just we should turn this on right now. Let's just start recording and go,
What I was saying was I'm a theater director, and that I frame everything through that lens. So as I was preparing to come on and meet with you, I called one of my company members. I was like, what should my costume be? What should I wear for the this whole conversation? And it took me a 15-minute conversation to get to a company t-shirt and just a sweater would be fine. And then
what were the options? What were the what could have been the costume or the
well, so the first question, as a designer, the first question she asked, which was the right one, was, well, what do you want to project? And the choices were professional or working. And she's like, can we hit the middle somewhere in there? And, so we go as far, clearly, jacket tie is off the table. I'm not even sure what those words mean anymore these days. But could have gone nice button collar shirt, the V-neck sweater, all the way down to what I'm really wearing all day long, which is a t-shirt and a hoodie. Somewhere in the middle.
Sure.
But then we were also talking about the set, right? What's behind me. I think of it as a set. I don't like to use virtual backgrounds. I have to do that on all the art we're doing. So, and I'm thinking, okay, right before I come on, I'm like, okay, is everything clean? What's in the background? Because I know you're looking at it, and if you're smart, you construct your room, your background, your set to tell the story you want to tell. And this didn't require a lot. This is actually just my office, but so there's that, and then there's the whole business about the lighting and getting my lighting right, and then you and I did the whole bit with which microphone to use. We are living in such a kooky, great. Okay, the other question I asked you before we started recording was, what's your swearing policy? So do you want to tell me?
And my answer to that was, I have not developed a policy yet, so you can either create it or break it. I don't mind.
Yeah. So as we chat longer and I relax with you, I'm sure I'll be dropping an F-bomb here and there.
All right, go for it. It's all fine. This is supposed to be the real story. This is supposed to be the real deal. So you can do whatever you like. I
got to say, this has been, I'm not going to say anything unusual because we're all going through the same thing, which I guess that's interesting in and of itself. But man, this is crazy. So my theater company is called Liars and Believers, and we're based in the Boston area. I'm in Cambridge, and we are a devising ensemble, which means we create all original work collaboratively, and we primarily use physical theater and masks and puppet and clown and live music and sword fighting and aerials, and none of this is doable in this world. And I normally I'm spending most of my time in the rehearsal hall with the actors, and they're climbing on each other and on the set, and I'm jumping on things because I always before I ask them to do something, I do it first. So if someone gets hurt, it's me. And we're like rolling around and throwing and playing. And this has been a long and peculiar pandemic, because like this is it. You're looking at my set and you're looking at my studio. It's crazy.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's kind of what I wanted to talk about. Maybe you can describe for me what it looked like before. Then we can get into the details a little bit about where you are now. What are you working with? So let's start with that. Give me some background.
Sure. So we are, again, the company is called Liars and Believers, and we are in our 12th season. We're based here in the Boston area. And we create our work through a process we've developed where we start with an idea, could be a story or an image or a poem. And then through a combination of what really is critical analysis, which just really means reading carefully whatever it is you're doing, plus a lot of wacky improv. We generate the material that gets shaped into the text, the performance text of the play, and the performance. And we typically will work anywhere from 12 to 24 months creating a piece. And they overlap. So we'll have one show that's in production and touring, and then another show that's in development, and then another one that we're just talking about the idea. We premiere the work here in Boston, and then we tour. We go to festivals and other theaters, and we're going to God willing, we're going to the Edinburgh Fringe Festival in August, assuming the festival happens, assuming they let us in, assuming everyone is vaccinated and it's safe. But at present, we are lined up to go to the Fringe. And I don't have a better word, so I describe the company as an experimental ensemble. But I don't mean that I certainly don't mean that in a pejorative way. And I don't mean it in the like weird, hard to understand way. I really mean it in the way, I should say experimental with a little e. We experiment, right? We have a story to tell, and we think, okay, well, what's the most exciting, engaging way to tell that story, other than people stand on a stage and talk at each other? There's plenty of that, particularly here in Boston, where it's a very intellectual kind of place. There's plenty of people standing on stage and talking at each other. There's plenty of classics. Shakespeare is covered here. But we try to bring something new, exciting, unexpected, different to the theater. So, which is why our plays are really visceral. They're very physical, colorful, imagistic. We try all these different forms, and we try things that are new to us. So we'll start a project and decide, this is really a mask piece. And so then over the next 18, 24 months, we are learning how to build masks. We do repeated workshops, developing our mask performance skills. And we get better and better, and then we develop the characters around the masks. And this is true whether it's masks or puppetry or clown or sword fighting and melodrama. These are all fun ways to create a dramatic experience for the audience, to tell a good story. So before the pandemic, that was what we did.
How long has your company been in existence?
12 years. We've been producing for 12 years. It took me, when I founded the company, that took about 2 years to just figure out figure out what I wanted to do, and then learn how to create a business, and learn how to make it a nonprofit and how to run a nonprofit and all that bit of stuff.
Right.
But we've been producing work for 12 years.
Okay. And then when you have a production that is touring, how long will it be on tour?
That's a really good question. It kind of depends on just the life cycle of the piece. We had one that took 2 years to create and toured for 2 years. We have another that premiered in 2015, and then we just have kind of kept going, and that's the show that's going to go. That's a clown piece that we're taking to Edinburgh. That's our smallest piece. So that's already back since 2015. There's another one that we had premiered in December 2018, and we were supposed to be touring now. The idea was, the idea was that we premiered it, and then we were starting to build the tour, which would have been in the 2020-21 season, which doesn't exist. So
yeah,
when the pandemic reopens, we'll tour that again, and we'll just tour it until it's time to take a break.
Okay, good. So here's something interesting I learned when I went to your website. First of all, you very openly state that ticket sales are only 20% of our revenue. Mm-hmm. And when I think before pandemic, your average price on the tickets were, $15 to $55. Is that right?
So our what year was that? A few years ago, I can't remember when it was. Maybe it was January 18. We started a new policy of pay what you can. Mm-hmm. To be more precise, the policy is our tickets are pay what you can. An average ticket would be $25. If you can't afford that, pay what you can afford. Because if you want to be here, we want you here. And if you can afford more, know that you are making art accessible to people who can't afford it. And not only did we not lose money with this policy, we've gotten more money. Our ticket prices, we've sold tickets at much higher prices. So it used to be such a verkackte mess where we'd have there'd be the set price of $25. It'd be like $20 at the door or early, and then $25 at the door. But then there's this discount over here, and then there's another discount over there, and we're shooting discounts all over the place. And then we have a special hidden, and what if we give some away? And then we topped out at $35. And first of all, it's a big fat headache. And you get caught into this cycle of people trying to get the best deal, and then there's like beat the system, and
sure.
And there are questions of, do they have an ID to prove they're a student? I'm like, I don't care. I came to an understanding at one point that if you want, this was what, yes, right. So this is the idea that came to mind. I was having a conversation with someone. Well, what if someone snuck in and didn't pay for a ticket? And I said, if you want to see my show that badly, that you're willing to sneak in and steal and take you're the audience member I want.
That's right. That's a lifelong fan. That is a lifelong
right?
fan.
I'm like, you're willing to steal my ticket? It matters that much to you? Come sit in the front row, babe. Yeah. And I then realized this is ridiculous, that put the ball back in people's courts and let them value the art. And as soon as we did that, whatever top price we set, there were people who paid it, and I couldn't believe it. And our average ticket is about $20, which is where we were, slightly above where we were before.
Yeah. So let me just reiterate something I think I heard, which is that not only did you not lose money, it actually benefited you.
Oh, for sure. Absolutely. Putting the ball back in people's courts and letting them value the art the way they value the art. It removes all the negative incentives because you can't steal from me because I'm basically giving it to you for $1 if
Mm-hmm.
you want. And so there, you get nothing there. You can't beat the system. You can't find the best deal. You have to look into yourself and say, well, how much do I value this thing? And I am thrilled for someone to come and pay $5 because that's what I can afford, and it matters that much to me. Just as much as I am thrilled to have someone say, "Here's $50, here's $100," because it matters to me this much. You're starting to get at what's important about art, which is how much it matters to the individual, how much you affect the individual. That's what I
Yeah.
really love.
Yeah. Wow. That's great stuff. So you're also a 501c3. I'm just
Mhm.
curious to know under what designation were you able to get that approved?
Oh God, that's so long ago. Well, we're a theater company. I think it's like under arts, or I think it's probably arts and culture. The theater world, most of the theater world is nonprofit, just like us. You don't get to for profit until you get to either Broadway, off Broadway. Most of off Broadway is for profit. Broadway is for profit, and touring companies are generally for profit. But most of the theater in this country can't survive as a for profit institution. We barely survive as nonprofit.
Sure. So, right. And I'm assuming a lot of that is because you have so much production costs, development costs up front. There's no way to really do this kind of thing unless you are able to invite sponsors and people who want to be part of the production and support it, right?
Absolutely. The only thing, I think this is true across the arts, the only things that are fully like profitable and can live on their profit are the tippy top most commercially valuable. So the really big hits on Broadway are the only things that actually make a profit.
Sure.
Everything else loses money. Really high end um, art, like visual art, that's the only thing that really makes a profit. Um, so our shows, I did the math on it once. If we were supposed to survive on our ticket sales, each ticket would cost $125. We are a small experimental theater company, and we have really tight budgets. If that's true for us, imagine what a mid-size regional theater or a large one would. Imagine what that ticket would cost. You end up with situations like Broadway, where what does a Broadway ticket cost these days? It's outrageous. And who's supposed to pay for that?
Yeah.
And or opera, for God's sakes. I don't want to be in a position where the only people who get to experience art are the wealthy. That's just bullshit. I'm not a commie. I'm not some socialist pinko, um, although I do live in Cambridge. Um, but I really believe art is for everyone. It shouldn't be a luxury that only the richest people can afford. And so to make that so, you have to find other ways to fund it. Um, and the U.S. government doesn't. Our nation doesn't support the arts. Our nation doesn't value the arts, and our government doesn't support the arts. It's pathetic. Um,
Agreed.
which is why we end up with all kinds of philanthropy filling in, um, and we still struggle to survive. I hesitate to tell you what our budgets look like and what people are paid when they are paid. But this is our contribution: is to lower the barrier of entry financially.
Yeah. Got it.
Well, so we were in the middle of doing the thing that we do, and the pandemic hit, and everything stopped dead, and everything was shut down. And everyone pretty much panicked and hunkered down and was terrified. Nobody knew what was going to happen or what we were going to do. And so immediately we started meeting on Zoom just to talk to each other, because everyone was all in different places, and I had two of my ensemble members, or they weren't company members, but we'd been working with them, were living alone and were feeling really isolated. So we started out just getting together when we would have been rehearsing, and everyone have a drink together and chat, and it's just connect with someone else. That grew into, okay, what can we do together? Let's read a play or something. And then that grew into, well, let's do a project. So we batted around a bunch of ideas, and slowly that grew into our first series, which was called Pandemic Play. I knew at the time, I guess I had two thoughts at the beginning of the pandemic, which were, one, if I'm feeling this way, if I'm this anxious and concerned about what's going on and freaked out, pretty much everyone else is probably in the same boat. And I felt like this is something artists can help with, right? We're not first responders of the body, but we can be first responders of the soul. And we can create things that make people feel better. Even if we can't heal their bodies and physically protect them, we can lighten the mood. We can help people process what they're doing. And it felt like a calling. As artists, our job right now is stand up and do things and just give it away for free, which is what we did. Just here, public, enjoy this. Most of them were funny, and none of it was cruel. Just how can we breathe and live through this together? But the flip side of that was, I knew my fellow artists had to keep working or they were going to freak. I was concerned for their well-being. I understand how the actors are built, and if you lock them away from performing, from creating, from making art, it can get really dark. And I knew we had to do something to help the actors feel better. So pretty much by the second week of the pandemic, we had turned 180 degrees and become an online theater company, just like that, which is completely the opposite of what we normally do. Typically we're very physical and overtly theatrical, and we use almost no technology. Like even the music we use is live. We don't use recorded sound. And all of a sudden here we were delving into the online world. And so we just had to remake ourselves immediately on the spot, and we just did. I would say we're fortunate as a company because number one, we're not a brick and mortar company. We're an ensemble, we're not an institution. So we don't have a mortgage we're trying to pay. We're not trying to keep the lights on. We have very low overhead. Number two, we're an ensemble. So it's not like I got to go cast people and find them. We've been working together for years now. We know each other. We're all there. I just get on Zoom with everyone and I say, okay, let's do this. And we all talk about it and then we do something. And number three, because we are an experimental company, we're used to experimenting. We're used to trying new things and taking risks, and some things succeed and some things fail, and you learn and you evolve and grow and get better at it. And you want to do a thing, so you try it out and you learn and develop the skills to do it. So we were well positioned to make that flip. So we began with a project called Pandemic Play, in which we did a new 10-minute play, or like a little one-act play, at one a week. So we started with audio, like a radio play, and then we evolved to a very simple Zoom play where it's really just the recording of the Zoom session, and I slightly edited it. And then we started playing with, okay, what tricks can Zoom do? The simplest of which is the background, right? The virtual background.
Mhm.
And getting more audio editing and engineering going on. And that kept evolving and getting more and more complex until we moved to our second big project, which was Macbeth. So we took Macbeth and we broke it into a web series. And we took everything we had learned up to that point, and by that point we had left Zoom. Well, we hadn't left it. We started using iPhones and different apps on your computer, your laptop, and different kinds of audio recording, different kinds of audio effects, and using Zoom, but as an artistic choice, not as a necessary medium. So we applied all of that to Macbeth, that we broke into um, 12 episodes, and we created that and put that out, and that was all put out for free. And then finally, that all added up to the project we're doing now, which is our new play is called Beyond a Winter's Day, and it's live on Zoom, and it's a mix of live actors and live musician and pre-recorded content that uses masks and puppets and shadow puppetry. And we we shot it like two of the actors quarantined themselves and got COVID tested, and they did the shadow puppetry thing, and then two more came over here, and we shot in my driveway, um, outside. Everyone's in masks, um, doing puppetry outside, and then a third one we did out in the woods, around a bonfire in the middle of a reserve. And so here we are now doing this live thing for audiences.
Okay, so let me just see if I understood you correctly. So you're doing, is it still a single camera production? But when it goes live, when the audience logs in, they'll log in and they'll view it on Zoom. But are they seeing a single camera, or is it constantly changing?
It's changing. So you
Yeah.
have each actor is in their own space, and that's their live Zoom feed. And then we pull in a musician, who's in their own space, and then we have video of things that we've recorded separately and those are fully recorded with multi-camera editing and sound, and that comes in, and I have a Zoom master who is fluidly pulling things in and out and in and out. Plus, you're there live. This was the thing we were really trying to capture. Is we're not doing Netflix, right? We're not Netflix, we're not TV, we're not film, we don't have the budget to do that. What makes theater exciting is it's live, um, it's present with you, and it's a little rougher, right? Because it's real and it's live. You haven't done 50,000 takes to get the perfect thing, and you've edited the lighting and da 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 da. So, as much as possible, we're trying to create that immediate experience. So when you see the show, there are the live boxes up top of the Zoom call where the audience members can see themselves, and we can see them, and we talk to them. Um, and then and the Zoom master is using a basic Zoom function to spotlight and pull different things in to control what you see.
Yeah. Wow, that sounds fantastic. And I think one thing you did not mention is that every performance is unique, right?
That's totally one of the things about theater that I love. It's it's happening right then. It matters that you see it now, this time, because this can never be seen again. And you matter because we see you. You know, that's one of the things that I love about theater as opposed to film or TV. Um, you're actually there. We see you, you see us. We're all in this experience of this moment together. And I'm not going to fool myself or you or anyone else into believing that a play on Zoom is the same as a live play. It isn't. It never can be, for sure. But at least we can create ways to share the experience where the immediacy of this moment matters. In fact, actually, there's another element to the play. It also has a smell and taste aspect. So before the show, when you buy your tickets, or even when you're just looking it up online, we've created recipes for the food and drink that happen in the show. So you can then get the recipes, make the food, and then during the show, as we're eating and drinking things and smelling them and talking about the smells, you're smelling and tasting exactly the same thing.
Oh my gosh.
So it's almost like you're there with us, and we
That is
talk
brilliant.
about thank you. We talk about this mulled cider, which has this I highly recommend anyone.
Oh, I'm very familiar with mulled cider. Yeah.
Make the cider because it fills your house with the most wonderful smells, which I love. And you can really have a multi-sensory experience, you know?
I mean, that's something I don't think you could have done in a theater, right?
No, we did do that. That's where we got the idea.
Did you really?
So in our last show, in the show that we did in December 2018, when the audience, we made mulled cider in the lobby. So as soon as you open the door, the smell of the apples and spices filled the room. And then the actors in character were going around and we're offering cider just for free to people. And we got sponsors to give us the cider and the spices. And we invited you to bring it in and drink it during the show. And so it becomes a multi-sensory experience, which I love to find ways to make exciting, engaging experiences that can really move the audience through their senses.
Wow. I mean, from what it sounds like, I think not only have you accomplished that, would I be going out on a limb to say that you may have invented a new genre of theater?
I can't imagine that that's the case. You know, I always go by the rule that if you can think of it, someone's done it. Typically, I'm thinking of awful, nasty things when I say that. Let me just leave that alone. But I can't imagine we invented this idea. You know, you had in the 70s and 80s, right, smell-o-rama movies, where you get a little scratch and sniff card. It's definitely, I don't know, maybe this is an example of necessity is the mother of invention.
Okay, so let's just say this, you know, lots of people attempted the airplane, right? You know where I'm going with that. Yes, probably other people have thought about something similar. Maybe they've attempted it, but doing it right, that's where the genius is, right? That's what's going to be remembered. So
yeah, I mean, I love that part, and I know it's fun for audiences. It's worth it to buy your ticket ahead of time to prep and enhance your experience, right? Like we built the show in such a way that you can enjoy the show fully and have a great time just coming in blind right before it starts, not knowing anything. However, if you're prepped ahead of time and you've got your cider and your cake and your soup, it's so much better.
Sure.
Because you're going through the experience with us.
Yeah. What has been the feedback from your audience, let's say from your longtime supporters? What are you hearing from them?
Yeah, we have a really dedicated not huge, but a dedicated following. People who've been with us all through the whole 12 years from the very beginning. And they're really excited. They're excited and inspired that we keep at it, that we've not been knocked down by the pandemic, but that we've kept producing. I mean, honestly, this might be our most productive time ever. We have not stopped since the second week of the pandemic, and our audience has really appreciated that, because it takes a lot of it takes a lot of resilience to get back up, because this sucks, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's no two ways about this. This sucks. And particularly, many theater people are extroverts. I'm like a hyper extrovert. My wife, who's a professor, is an introvert. She's like, this is great. Nobody's bothering me. I'm bouncing off the walls.
Right.
It takes a lot of resilience to keep at it and keep going. And you run into a wall, and rather than just collapse and give up, you get back up and you go, okay, well, that way doesn't work. Can we do this a different way? Thinking about Zoom, like, well, what are its features that we can use to our advantage to make fun things? Or how can we tell a story? What's a good story to tell, and how can we tell it? I mean, most of it we've given away for free. Our audience has been really appreciative. And recently we've been getting emails from audience members seeing our current show, Beyond a Winter's Day. And actually, I got a funny one today, because this woman and her boyfriend not only did the stuff that we offered, but they got dressed up for a night at the theater.
Nice.
Right? So they did us one better.
Right. And you can see them, right?
Yeah. I mean, you can see them if they turn on their camera. We could see,
Sure.
If you turn on your camera, we see you. If you leave your camera off, we just see your name or whatever you put on your screen, right? But that's just, I love that. I wrote her back and I was like, good for you. You topped us.
Okay, I definitely have to check it out.
Good. Please come join us.
Yeah.
And tell all your friends and tell all your listeners.
Not only am I going to tell my friends, so this is what I do with my girlfriend and another couple, is every once in a while we'll do like a game night or we'll do a happy hour. Yeah. I think this is going to be our next event.
Please.
And we're going to get the mulled cider and check out your recipes, and maybe we'll dress up. Who knows? Let's
you're invited. You're invited to get, for this play, we invite you to make the soup and the cider and the cake and join us and get cozy on the couch with us.
So once again, tickets can be purchased directly on the website. Is that correct?
You go to our website. If you go to liarsandbelievers.com, you can find, which is our homepage, you'll find the link for more information or for buying tickets and the whole schedule of the performances. The show's going to run through the end of March. Okay. It's definitely our longest run. It will have run from January 15th to March 28th when all is said and done.
Okay, fantastic. I'm looking forward to it. Really, I am. And everyone, definitely check this out. If you go to the website, you will see all the imagery and all the fantastic things that they are able to do. Now, you're going to be able to participate in a completely different way. You might be witnessing the reinvention, or at least, like I said, I'm going to stick my neck out and say, you might be inventing a new genre of theater. Nobody has seen it yet.
I think once the lockdowns start to lift, it's going to be like spring fever on steroids. Everyone is going to go bonkers, and there will be joy and excitement, and people will be hungry for everything. And we're going to be part of it. And we're going to be we're going to be in the streets and in the parks. And it's going to be beautiful when it all opens up. And then, look, I'm happy for you to come with us to Edinburgh, and we can meet again while we are over in the UK.
That would be fantastic. Yeah, let's do that.
It would be my pleasure. Thanks so much for having me. I really appreciate
Thank you.
the time to talk to you.
Good luck with everything.
You too. Thanks.
Neither rain, nor snow, nor dark of night.
Neither rain, nor snow, nor dark of night.
Neither rain, nor snow, nor dark of night. What word have you for me, postman?
It is all true. The Huns are coming.
Oh, kiss me through the whole of this vile wall.
I kiss the wall's hole, not the lips. Oh.
I kind of have something to ask you.
If this is about that sweater again, I told you.
No, it's not that. What the hell?
I got it, thank God.
In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit.
Amen. Bless me, Father, for I have sinned.
Beautiful sun here.
What's that? Louder! It's the rush hour, my love. Your words must blazon a fiery trail to my waiting ears. Damn the chariots!
And here's a spot. Out, damned spot. Out, I say.
Be warm and cozy on a cold, dark night as we tell the story of finding the light.
And so, it was Vasilisa who sat by her mother's side as she lay dying.
Listen, my dear Vasilisa.